Good afternoon and welcome. This is Rasha from Rasha's Rants, Rasha O'Reilly. Um, yeah, just wanted to post this. It's a particular hobby of mine. I loved all the narco shows and all the documentaries and stuff like that. Um, just the history of cartels. From the early days of shipping small amounts of cocaine hidden on people or in their luggage or their clothing to shipping, hundreds and thousands of tons in various different forms and all the different cartel bosses. And yeah, I came across a content maker. His page is called Death Door, DEATHDOOR, two words. And I just learned about a guy I'd never actually heard of. I thought I'd heard of everybody that was sort of, an important player in the whole cog of the machine itself. And this guy, for some reason, is never mentioned in any of the narco stuff. I'm not. I don't know why. I haven't really done much research on it so far. I just found out about him. But his nickname was Il Polselero, which basically means it's either the stew maker or the soup maker. This guy, his whole job was to dissolve bodies of cartel victims in plastic oil drums, um, with caustic soda and water in the right measures, that it would dissolve flesh and basically eradicate any sort of DNA from inside of bones. The marrow would be dissolved. But this guy, he was getting paid the equivalent of $600 a week, and may very well have dissolved up to and including 1,000 cartel victims. Um, and he did his time in Mexico. He wasn't extradited because his lawyers argued that he hadn't actually killed anyone, and that saying no to being asked to do something in his line of work as a trusted cartel employee meant he would have gone into one of the vats himself. And his primary motivator was to make sure he did whatever he was asked to do so his family didn't starve. And there is an element of that I can believe in, absolutely. I mean, you get hired by people that are this powerful and also this potentially dangerous. If you use the word no, if you say no to these people, there's probably 100 guys all around you that can do your job and won't open their mouth or say no. But yeah, $600 a week basically, which doesn't seem like much for what he was being asked to do, but you have to take into context it was three times the national sort of wage for well-paid jobs every week. So most people might just clear about $200 or close to that after taxes and what have you, and that would leave you comfortable, I suppose, or able to survive at least. And he was making three times that, on an average week, probably getting more here and there. He started to drink very heavily during his career doing this, I suppose, just to make it easier to forget how many of these he was doing, all day, every day. But he's not mentioned in any of the Narcos documentaries. He's actually out of jail now. He did 10 years in a Mexican prison, and if you've watched any of the Narcos stuff or any documentaries about cartels, you know that Mexican prison, it's a little bit different from prison in the United States or prison here in Ireland. Particularly if he'd been extradited like Chapo and some of the other cartel bosses, it wouldn't have been fun for him, But because he hadn't actually killed anyone and because he didn't actually inform or cooperate with authorities, he was kept in Mexico. If he'd have cooperated, the United States might have snapped him up for information, but he wouldn't cooperate. He would just admit that what he was doing, and that he was in a position that he couldn't not do it because he had become very good at it. And if he'd have said no, they'd have killed him and had whoever his, apprentice or helper would have stepped up. But he did 10 years in prison in Mexico. And again, they didn't say what prison, but if you've watched Narcos, you know what prison is like in Mexico, particularly for cartel members, higher ups, and their lieutenants and their sicarios. It's a party. There's drugs, there's girls, there's pretty much running the prison, paying off the guards, getting everything you want. So, he went to jail in Mexico, did 10 years. He's out now. And one can only assume that because he kept his mouth shut, because he admitted to what he had done, but didn't give any details about disposal or dump sites, burial sites, things like that. He did 10 years, so because he kept his mouth shut, I'd imagine that's why his sentence was not extended or why he was not retried, because he kept his mouth shut so the right people were paid off, and he went in and had a 10-year holiday, during which time his family would have been well compensated for his loyalty. But yeah, I just wanted to post that because I thought I'd heard of everybody that was, an influential sort of person within these systems. And I've watched the Chapo documentary, I've watched the Chapo story, I've watched Mexico, sorry, I've lost the train of thought. I've watched Narcos Mexico. I've watched Narcos about Pablo Escobar. I've watched the Chapo, and I've seen countless documentaries. And this guy's name never gets mentioned. And they say that while he was operating initially, his nickname would strike fear into the hearts of everybody, even the higher ups, because they know that death being the great equalizer, if you fuck up, you're still going to end up in these guys' vats, But yeah, when they finally sort of found him, because two kidnappers were caught by the federales, and they knew where this guy was, what he looked like, and they gave him up. And a lot of people believe that because he went quietly with them, but said nothing, that he was basically a fall guy. So somebody higher up didn't get taken because this was now going on and had been found out about. But I just thought it was fascinating. So, look up this guy. I'll do a second video where I'll put in some pictures, and I'm actually editing from a smartphone. I don't have microphones, lights, cameras, anything like that yet. I still haven't set up a Patreon account, which I'm going to have to do, which is difficult in Ireland because I'm in the homeless services. I'm not looking for tears or anything like that. I'm on the street because I made a mess of my life a few years back. So, I'm not going to pin it on anyone or anything other than my own stupidity and mistakes. But I'm trying now to get to a place where I'm raising myself above that, and I'm trying to figure out a way to live my best life, whether I'm still in the services or whether I move on from them. I want to continue making content of all different kinds, and with the help of the views that I get, comments, stuff like that, I'll be able to focus on what content seems to be the most appealing. The stuff that gets the most views, obviously, we'll get more content made on those subjects and in that ilk. Plenty more to come soon, and I'm steadily watching the views go up, which is great. Anybody who's even, watched the video or liked or subscribed, or all three preferably, please, thank you, because it's a very, very small, humble operation. It's just me right now with a smartphone, so I am limited in the kind of content I can make. I am going to have to learn to get some very basic editing software and use a friend of mine's laptop as I make more sophisticated content, which I'm looking into. But don't be afraid to comment the kind of thing you want to see, or what you think is working the best, or if you want to see more of music stuff, if you want to see more comedy, if you want to just see more of me and my homeless family and what we get up to, and how we try to make the best of it, at the best of times, a difficult situation, just let me know. So yeah, Rasher, signing off for now. All the best. Have a great day.